What is up, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of the Dense Pixels podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Brad, joined by my co-host, Micah.
Hey.
It's a good thing that Gamescom is this week, so a lot of video game news to come down the pipe. We're going to wade into the well of politics later in the show in a way that you might not expect. But we also get to talk about two of the dumbest stories that I can recall in recent memory happening within the games industry, one of which was the talk of last week, the second of which was going to be the talk of this week. So the first bit of news, so this did happen. So Valve is working on, and has been working on, a new shooter called Deadlock, okay? And they had what I would call a closed alpha, let's say. And they gave codes to, like, streamers and some news outlets and things like that. And apparently those people were clear to, share those codes with any friends and stuff like that they wanted to. They didn't require anyone to sign an NDA, or they didn't put out, like, an embargo or anything like that. What they did do is when you turned on the game, it had a end user license agreement, a terms of service, as you typically get with these things. And what was not clear is that could be dismissed, not by accepting the NDA, but just by closing, or not the NDA, sorry, the terms of service, but just by closing the window, right? So it wasn't a secret. I mean, it was. They didn't advertise that this was happening, but like people were also like, sharing it on like, content sites and stuff like that. So, like, it's very clear that this is a thing that was happening. Well, The Verge took it a step further, and they actually wrote about this game Deadlock. Now, The Verge made it very clear. The writer at The Verge, and Tom Warren's the editor, Sean Hollister was the writer, so he got an invite, he played the game, and he published an article about what he played. And a lot of people, for some reason, we're still in 2024, and everyone wants to take up arms for the corporations, which is a worrying sign for our future.
Fucking weird, man.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of users got really upset at The Verge for publishing the story, but Tom Warren, the editor there, made a point, like, hey, like, we didn't sign an NDA. We didn't make any informal verbal agreement with Valve about not sharing things. He didn't even click the end user license agreement. So like he just backed out of it, and it let him through just fine. So as far as we're concerned as journalists, there's no harm, no foul here. Like, there's no expectation that Valve has to any privacy in this case. Once the story was published, Valve banned this journalist from playing the game. I don't think they've gone so far as to like blacklist The Verge or anything like that in any coverage. But it was clear that they weren't happy that they published the story. Apparently some other journalists in the industry were like not thrilled about it, because I guess they adhered to like the spirit of the playtests, but also like at the same time, like they weren't mad about it either, because they're like, yeah, like he didn't sign anything saying he had to keep his mouth shut about this. And also, like, literally 18,000 people were playing this closed alpha. So like, if you really wanted to find coverage about it, or find people playing it, or find footage of it, it really wasn't hard to do. The reason that Valve got pissed off is because I guess this, like, planned, like, word of mouth, like, marketing thing that they did just got blown up a little bit.
And that's the key word, right?
Right.
Marketing. All these like previews and here's IGN's month-long exclusive look at Dragon Age: The Veilguard, right? That's synergistic marketing, right? To get people excited for the game and to get people to traffic IGN, right? Like, that's all it is. And video game journalism is not, I'm not going to say it's not journalism. There are journalists that cover video games, but this is a very, I mean, I guess it's not unlike, it's like when people confuse the 8 o'clock and 9 o'clock shows on news networks for news.
Mm-hmm.
That's what people think journalism is. And it's not. It's the editorial page that you can watch. And that's a lot of what video game journalism has been for a very, very, very long time.
Mm-hmm.
I what was it EGM that was blacklisted from
Mm-hmm.
Ubisoft games
Yep.
because they didn't
because
give
they rated or no, was it?
they didn't give a favorable
wa-
preview
It
to
was
a
EGM.
game.
It was EGM. Yes.
Yeah. And they didn't give a favorable preview to a game, so so EGM's or so Ubisoft was like, "Well, fuck you. We're not gonna give you a copy for you to
No.
review it because you didn't like the
Not
preview or
only
whatever."
that, they pulled advertising
Yeah,
from
yeah,
EGM,
like
if I
like
recall correctly.
like all right, man, all right, like corporations aren't your friends, folks. They really aren't. You are a
No.
commodity. You are a commodity, and they provide a service. That's what you need to. That's what you need to realize. Look, The Verge did what journalists are wont to do, and I'm not mad about it. Would it be different if, one of the 18,000 people who played the game the way Valve wanted talked to The Verge about it? Like, and then The Verge reported on it? Like, it's just, and like you said, to see people just like regular Joe Blow, like Americans,
Mm-hmm.
just 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 get on their hands and knees and lick those boots of this fucking corporation. This corporation that has promised you like, oh, what, because you like them. Because you like
Mm-hmm.
them. And look, I like Valve, but like come on, yo. Like this is not that serious. This is not that serious. Oh well, I guess you fucked around and you found out.
Yeah,
Who
and
cares?
certainly not to dogpile on a game site for doing what's in their perfectly good rights to do. Like if Valve, I mean, again, like if he had to click an end user license agreement, and those are, I mean, as bullshit as those fucking things are anyway, just bogged down with
Right.
legalese that nobody reads anyway. But if he had done that and he had accepted it, then sure, maybe you have a case there. But if you're going to put this thing out in the ether, and you're not going to make anyone sign an NDA, and you're not going to, and you couldn't even make sure that the terms of service on this game couldn't be just clicked through, and then you reap what you sow. And again, you're
Right.
just mad because you wanted this organic, like viral marketing thing for this game. Like you didn't tell anyone that you were doing this, you just kind of floated it out there, but you knew that the message was going to be filtered out, and you also knew that because you were surprised dropping this and stuff like that, that the reaction would be mostly positive. And by the way, the write up that the Verge did was mostly positive. Like they were very complimentary on the game. It seems like it could be a cool addition to the stable of franchises. But it's just so funny because video game publishers are so used to having it their way when it comes to controlling the message that they always get so upset when they don't, and they have no problem changing things up when it benefits them. I mean, I remember earlier, I think it was either this year or late last year, when they had that closed alpha that they invited a bunch of content creators to play for Suicide Squad. WB Games did, and they made them all sign NDAs and said, hey, you can't talk about it until can't talk about what you played until X date. And then they did an official round of previews with all of the like legit sites and got royally panned. And so in an effort to get some positive energy for the game out there, they released all the people that they invited to this closed alpha from their NDA so that they could go on their content creation websites and talk about it like that. Like, so again, it's fine when when the publisher wants to make sure that they have a different message going out there, but God forbid someone do something that's well within their rights. And look, Valve's within their rights to boot them from the playtest as well. I mean, the
Sure.
screenshots he posted had his username in there, so it was easy enough to do. But like, if this goes any further than that, and Valve like blacklists the Verge from being able to cover the one game they put out every 5 years, like I feel like that's gonna be kind of bullshit. In this
Yeah,
case.
man. Yeah, man. This is like, oh man, you got us. Like, our bad. We shouldn't have allowed you to play the game without signing the fucking end user license agreement
Right.
or whatever. But like, this is fucking nonsense, man. This
Yeah.
is bullshit. Like, just take it on the chin, Valve. Like, I'm glancing at the article, and it's not, you like you said, it's not. First of all, it's the same type of fucking dumbass game that's all the rage right now. Goddamn 6v6 hero shooter and shit. Like, cause there's not enough of them, right? So the fact that this article is not just completely cynical should be a win. Like, get out of here, man. Yeah, all right, man. All right. Like, it's just is this is nonsense. This is
Speak,
nonsense on Valve's part.
Speaking of cynical 6v6 hero shooters, are you aware that Concord releases this week?
What?
That game comes out
It
on
does?
Thursday.
Oh wow. I thought they were still in they like just handed out betas or whatever.
Nah, like
Uh
it's like legit releasing on Thursday.
wow.
So I'll be curious to see how the reaction is, because again, the previews weren't overly. I mean, they weren't overly negative, but they were just like, this game's a 7. Like, that's fine. Like, this game's gonna be a 7.
I'm
That's fine. So
I'm shocked. I'm shocked that people aren't tired of this yet.
I
Or
mean, I would suggest looking at Overwatch's lifetime like player counts over the course of its life, that people are kind of getting there
yeah,
a
let me
little bit.
rephrase that. I'm tired. I'm shocked that some company hasn't decided, you know what, maybe we shouldn't do this because people are starting to get tired of it.
Yeah.
But I guess I shouldn't be, because that's not usually how corporations work. Usually they try to mine every single like cent, every single creative, blood from that stone. And yeah, wow, Concord releasing Thursday. Jesus.
Another bonehead publisher decision happened with the publishers of Black Myth Wukong, which also comes out this week as well. And this is a document that the co-publisher Hero Games sent out. Now, this document only went out to influencers and streamers. It did not go out to actual like press outlets. Okay, and it's been a while since I've seen a video game publisher Streisand affect themselves into it like in the face as hard as Hero Games has Streisand affected. And for those who don't know what the Streisand effect is, in short, it's calling attention to something that nobody would have probably paid attention to had you not called attention to it. And by calling attention to it, you've magnified an issue that nobody would have cared about previously. So they sent this email out, or this document out, and it had a list of do's and don'ts as far as how to cover Black Myth Wukong if you are a streamer or an influencer of some kind. The do's are enjoy the game. That's all they want you to do. Just have fun and enjoy playing their game. Well, that seems reasonable enough. But it's the don'ts that have garnered the most attention. Here's the full list of don't do's when talking about Black Myth Wukong. Do not insult other influencers or players. Okay, reasonable. Do not use any offensive language or humor. I mean, that's not really up to you to tell people what they can or can't do. But I understand you don't want your game to be associated with someone cursing up a storm. All right, fine.
All right, well, fuck you then.
Do not include politics, violence, nudity, feminist propaganda, fetishization, and other content that instigates negative discourse. Well, we just went from 0 to 60 in about 2.5 seconds. Do not use trigger words such as quarantine or isolation or COVID-19. in your coverage. And finally, Micah, do not discuss content related to China's game industry policies, opinions, or news, etc. This document has been verified by several people in the industry to be legitimate. This is not something that someone just kind of fucking made up and went out there. And to be clear, like, you know, when companies send out review codes and stuff like this, they'll send out like guideline coverages and stuff like that, you know, cater around the stuff that you might normally expect to find. The problem is that Hero Games is a Chinese game studio, and in China, of course, pretty much every company in China is very much under the thumb of the Chinese Communist Party, which is the government in China, and have very strict rules and regulations that they have to abide by. And so I'm sure that this note is either at the behest of the Chinese government going out to streamers, or proactively done by Hero Games, knowing that they don't want to see Black Myth Wukong and any anti-China rhetoric able, you know, next to each other as stuff comes out for this game. Now,
I believe you forgot the biggest don't. Do not, under any circumstances, make reference to or about Winnie the Pooh in any way, shape, or form. Please, for the love of fucking God.
Micah coming in hot with the topical political discourse here. That's one that's going to fly over the head of most of our listeners, I would imagine. Even those that are tied in. People can Google that if they want to. If they want to Google Winnie the Pooh and Xi Jinping. This is also coming from a studio, by the way. Game Science is the studio, and they have their CEO. Apparently, there's been reports of misogyny at the studio. That was reported on back in 2020. The studio has a long history of sexism, so like I'm sure they're very desperate to control the narrative around this game. Unfortunately for them, most countries that I would imagine influencers are going to be playing this game from are covered by things like fucking freedom of speech. Certainly no protection, you know, from the Chinese government to be able to do or say. And again, like, if you just hadn't fucking said anything, I'm like, you might have gotten the odd mention here or there, but I'm pretty sure most people's coverage of Black Myth Wukong was not going to center in on the policies of China or talk about how, like, hey, this was developed in China, you know, the origin of the COVID-19 virus. I don't think that was fucking happening. So I feel like just saying nothing at all would have been preferable to saying anything.
Yeah, man. Like, like, what's going on, dude? Like, headline: Wukong, Black Myth Wukong is the best thing to come out of China since COVID-19. Is that what you thought someone was going to say? Like, weird, yo. I don't think COVID-19 was manufactured in a lab, by the way. It's just before anybody gets up in arms. Yeah, yo. Like, don't include politics or. Like, it's about the Monkey King, yo. Like, more people have made Dragon Ball references to when regarding this game than politics or feminist propaganda, whatever the fuck that is. Yeah, or bad words. All right, yo. Like, this is adorable. This do not list is adorable. I'm not like a rah-rah sis boom ba America first kind of like person. I like America. I like it just fine. I like it just like I like my family. I love them, but like, they need to be corrected when they need to be corrected. But stuff like this, I you know, I'm waving the flag, man. I'm saluting. Like, get the fuck out of here.
I just, like I said, and again, like, nothing in this agreement, like, nothing in this document is binding in any way, shape, or form. Like, it's not like if a now you better believe an influencer is going to put up the Black Myth Wukong video that talks about all this stuff.
Yeah, man.
Because you basically dared somebody to do it, and what are you going to do to them? You can't demonetize their video. I mean, critiquing something or reviewing it is fair use, so you can't just copyright strike it or anything like that. It's just completely stupid, man. Again, like if you had said nothing, pretty sure that 99.999% of people that cover this game wouldn't have even thought to do any of these things at all. Like believe it or not, we are capable of separating Chinese game developers from the Chinese government. Like, I understand that they are inextricably linked in some ways, but also, like, dudes in China are just trying to make a living the same way that dudes over here are as well, and just trying to make the best game they can. Like, not everything has to be fucking tied to politics or anything like that. So,
fucking funny, man.
it's just stupid. It's an incredibly dumb and unforced error, as they say. So,
feminist propaganda. I'm gonna Google what feminist propaganda is.
Basically, I'm pretty sure from the Chinese government perspective, it's anything basically any women's rights issue could be considered feminist propaganda. Like empowering women in any way, shape, or form is feminist propaganda. So,
I mean, it's hilarious because you Google feminist propaganda and the first 6 links are about Black Myth Wukong. So
yeah, now congratulations.
this is some wild search engine optimization.
Hey, again, just shutting the fuck up is free should be the motto of this fucking podcast network. I swear to God. So, let's take a quick break, and then we'll be back with some quicker hits as far as news stories go. So, the ongoing saga between Epic Games and Apple has been going on now for a couple of years. We in the EU, of course, it was ruled that Apple could not restrict, certain like other app stores and stuff like that from being on iOS. And as a result of that, as of now, you can now get Fortnite back on your iPhone. Sort of, and only if you live in Europe. So right now, if you live in the EU, you now can download a version of the Epic Game Store and download it on your Android or iPhone, and you can download Fortnite and play it from your phone, which is something you have not been able to do now for a couple of years. But not only do you have to download a third-party app store to do it, basically, like all of these like pop-ups and stuff like that are there to warn you on your device. Are you sure you really want to do this? Like Epic literally had to release 2 step-by-step videos on how to install Fortnite on your iPhone and your Android device. And it is a multi-step process to which the narrator in the video is poking some fun at here. But hey, it's back.
This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's funny when corporations fight each other. Like congratulations. One multi-billion-dollar corporation has finally triumphed over a multi-trillion-dollar corporation. Truly, David felling the giant that is Goliath, with nothing but a mere humble sling, which you could probably use in Fortnite, I would imagine. Oh shit!
So,
okay, I'm surprised. Like literal apples aren't banned in Fortnite. I don't know what Fortnite is, guys. I don't know what you. I know you build stuff and you shoot stuff.
It is fascinating to me that in the 6 or 7 years, basically, that Fortnite has been a thing, that even like curiosity has not won out for you one time to at least see what all the fuss is about.
Yeah, I've seen videos, and yeah, I don't there's nothing about it that makes me like I've played like to my understanding,
Hmm.
Fortnite is like one of those games where it starts out with many and then the
Yeah.
arena gets smaller and then it kind of pioneered that, right?
Well, no, it didn't pioneer
Or
it.
no,
Technically,
PUBG did,
PUBG
right?
pioneered it.
PUBG
Yeah.
did that, right? And and I guess because Fortnite um I don't know, looked better or because I remember PUBG looking kind of like gross, like
It
not
still
gross.
does. PUBG is there to look like somewhat realistic.
Hmm.
Fortnite obviously has the more cartoony art style, and the reason why Fortnite became the sensation that it did is because that art style helped bring in a much younger crowd than PUBG
Yeah,
did. And if you get the kids, you get the bag, as as they
yeah,
say. And now we have an
yeah.
entire generation of young gamers who have literally been raised on Fortnite the same way that they were raised on Minecraft. And so you're right. I mean, you have I know you've played Apex Legends,
Yeah.
and I don't know if you played PUBG or not. I haven't played
I've
PUBG.
not played PUBG.
Okay.
I've not played PUBG, but I have played Apex Legends. Like I've played a game that uses that type of that gameplay mechanic.
Hmm.
It's an interesting gameplay mechanic. I'll just call it the battle royale
Yeah, I
gameplay
mean
mechanic,
that's
right?
literally
Because
what
that's
it
what it
is.
is.
Yeah.
And it's a very interesting gameplay mechanic. But I think you hit the nail on the head when you said that this particular art style, which I don't find repulsive,
Hmm.
right? Like I actually think the art style is fine. It's very interesting to see like some of these famous characters in this art style. I can appreciate it, but it draws in the kids.
Hmm.
And I am at a point in my life where I love kids. I really do. I love hanging out with
No,
them. I
that's a
love
lie.
playing with them.
You love your kids. There's a huge
No,
there's a gulf of difference between
look,
loving kids and
I
loving your
adore
kids.
my kids, and I like other people's kids. I
Okay.
really do. I genuinely do. But at the same time, like once they hit like 9, 10,
Hmm.
then I start to be like, all right,
Yeah, go get a
you know,
job, you freeloader.
yeah,
You
get out of
freeload
my
job.
face. The cuteness is gone. Get away from me, right? Like I don't want to. And because it brings in the kids, you know, I've been called the N word from people who don't have hair on their balls far too many times. I'm just kind of sick of it. I'm just kind of sick of it, and I don't want to play a game. I don't even want to hear them. And I know you can like mute them and all that, but like you can tell. You know what I mean? Like you could tell when someone's just some asshole kid and just doing asshole kid things, right? Like sitting on your face or whatever. Like whatever, whatever. I think
I,
it's because
I
it attracts so many young people. I just don't it gives me the ick.
when you we I don't think I've ever I don't think you've ever appeared older to me when you just described teabagging, something that's been around since Halo, and really since probably since Unreal Tournament, as sitting on your face. You know what teabagging is, like,
Yes, I
like
know what
it's
teabagging
not a
is,
term.
but like
It's not a
face
term you're
sitting,
unfamiliar with.
but like face sitting, I want people to Google and then be like, "Oh my God, what is this?" Um, yeah, it's just you know, it's just something about like I've played this type of game. It's fine. I don't really like it. I'm looking at an image right now of Chun-Li holding a gun with a silencer on it. Like it just doesn't
See,
like
that's the weird part is the
that's
surreal,
another
like watching Goku run around with a fucking with a fucking machine gun and shit like that. Like that's fucking weird.
it makes me sad. It makes me sad that like this IP, this IP that I've grown up, Chun Li was like the first video game crush that I had, right?
Hmm.
And to see her just kind of walking around with a just walking around with a gun in her hand, like it's just weird, yo.
See,
It's just weird.
this is why when people are like, oh, like once they put Doom in there, like it's gonna get Micah. Like Micah doesn't want
No,
to
it's not. No, it's
sully
not.
the image of Doctor Doom by watching him
Get the fuck
have like
out
a
of here.
baseball bat in Fortnite. Like get out of
Right.
here.
Doctor Doom doing carpentry and shit like, with a shotgun in his hand or whatever. Like that's weird, yo. Like that's weird. And it makes me sad that these people like it makes me sad that creators like just kind of whore their product out. And I get it. I get it. I'm not mad at you. You do what you want with your product, but at the same time, right? Like I remember there was a big thing about like Marvel not like paying comic creators
Hmm.
like for use of their property. Yeah, I get it. I get it, right? Like the artist that created the Winter Soldier doesn't get paid off of this incredibly lucrative like movie, tie-in with the character that he created. I get it, right? You signed over those rights. I get it. But like at the same time, like you throwing Captain America in here with Goku and Lara Croft and a person in a banana suit or whatever. Like it just I don't know, man. It just seems kind of gross. Everything about Fortnite just seems kind of gross to me.
I didn't expect us to get to such a philosophical discussion about Fortnite just about this story, but
This is the most educated. This is the most educated, thoughtful conversation you will ever hear anybody talk about Fortnite.
it's probably true. It's probably true. And again, like also the listeners have to realize, like when Micah gets his heels dug in on a fucking game,
Oh,
he is impassable. And like
yeah.
I seriously have thought about like really trying to give you the full court press about trying No Man's Sky because it is
Nope.
like at this point it is legitimately a great game.
Nope. It's
But
too late now.
well, I
It's
know,
too late.
like the ship has sailed. It's been too long. There's too many negative feelings pent up. But
Yeah, man. It's all spite at this point. It's like you gave me a do not do list. Okay, well, do not enjoy or do not play No Man's Sky. No, I'm not gonna play it. Fuck you. I'm not gonna play that game. Fuck you. I'd rather read a Winnie the Pooh book. How about that?
there you go.
Go fuck yourself.
Who's in the public domain now? Also, by the way, which is
Oh,
weird.
I know, because Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, Part One
That's right.
and Two is a thing.
I fear when like a lot of like because Batman and Superman are coming up soon. I think for that, so
Oh
like
my
that's gonna be
god,
fucking frightening.
that
So
is going to be very frightening because the Batman v Superman was created with the blessing of the company that owns them. So I can't imagine what some random person is going to have Superman do. Jesus Christ.
Ubisoft unfortunately has had a third round of layoffs this year come through. 45 more folks from Ubisoft San Francisco and Red Storm Entertainment have been let go. And one of those studios works on X Defiant, which is the new Ubisoft live service shooter that just came out a few weeks ago. So I don't know if that portends good tidings for how that game is doing right now. So that's very unfortunate. Hopefully those people land on their feet. You hate to see it. The timing of that news also, I feel, is very intentional, considering it's going to get swept away in the sea of new game trailers and announcements tomorrow from Gamescom. So that's a bummer. But again, we're still seeing cuts around the industry. So keep an eye out there. But I have two lighter stories to end the news with this week. We're back to the Borderlands film, which took in a whole $8 million domestic dollars during its opening weekend. It's already coming to streaming services in a matter of weeks. That's how poorly it's doing at the box office. And if you're wondering, how did this actually get made? Like, who thought this was a good idea? An interview that Eli Roth did with SFX magazine kind of illuminates it. And if you're wondering, like, how could this happen? And you think about Borderlands and you think about Eli Roth and you're like, I could imagine how this would happen. Believe me when I tell you, it is exactly what you think it is. So this is from Eli Roth. I'm going to quote him from this article. Whenever I take my dog for a walk and she has to go to the bathroom, she won't let me look at her. I have to look away because she gets really shy. But one day I filmed her. She had that shy look on her face, and I was like, that's Claptrap. So my first question to Randy Pitchford was, quote, you can't kill Claptrap, but you can shoot him hundreds of times? And he goes, correct. Because there's a scene where Claptrap gets shot up after being a decoy. So I, Eli Roth, said, so what happens to the bullets? And Randy says, I don't know. And so I say, could he shit out the bullets like we're in a Mel Brooks movie? And Randy goes, yes, he could. And I felt like we needed to see that. And that was my pitch to Lionsgate. And they were laughing so hard. So, like, that scene from the trailer where Claptrap is just ejecting, all his bullets out. That was the vision that Eli Roth had. And Randy Pitchford was like, bro, like, it's like you're seeing into my fucking mind right now. Holy shit.
And unfortunately, I 100% believe every single word of this story.
And a bunch of studio executives were like, holy shit, everyone's going to love this. It's going to be fucking awesome.
That sounds exactly... All right. I'm not a big Randy Pitchford guy to begin with. First and foremost, I feel like my dislike of dogs is 100% justified, because if that dog didn't have to take a shit, or that dog wasn't so goddamn insecure about her owner.
All house animals look ashamed when they're pooping. That's just it's the nature.
One, you should. Okay, you should. It's gross. You're just shitting all over the planet. Okay. And two, like, whatever, like, just this is my thing, right? Like, I'm just gonna take a shit, right? But no, don't take a shit right there, or like, just don't worry about it, right? Don't worry about it. How about you don't look at him, right? Why are you looking at me while you're taking a shit? How about you turn your head if you're so embarrassed? Like, what the fuck? Second of all, what kind of sicko films someone defecating? What the fuck? What the fuck is wrong with you? Jesus Christ, you were the bear Jew, bro. What the fuck? And then of course Randy Pitchford liked it. Randy, I'm a magician who keeps porn on a thumb drive. Of course he liked it. Come on, man. Jesus Christ. And then a bunch of fucking studio execs who've never played a video game, don't know how to make a movie. They just fucking finance shit. Of course, they're like, if these guys like it, I like it. Ha 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 ha. I need this job. Ha ha ha. Maybe if I find this funny, I'll get to keep my job. Ha ha ha. Like, no, fuck y'all, man. Fuck y'all. Every single person involved in this movie. Look, I don't. Every single person in the making of this movie that's not an actor or like a grip who just need work, like they can all lose their jobs. Get out of here, man. Good Lord. This movie, the I think the first or second week, it came in at like 10th place in the second week, behind or 8th place behind Inside Out's 10th week. Like, what the fuck? Like, yo. All right. Who's your jobs?
So two things. One, Inglourious Bastards it might be Quentin Tarantino's best movie. It's only gotten better every time I've watched it.
I love that movie.
Aged like a fine wine.
Yeah.
Did you know that that he wanted Adam Sandler for the Bear Jew originally?
Really?
Get him. Yeah.
I would have loved that.
Yeah.
I actually would have really loved that. Besides, like, Eli Roth. I mean, Eli Roth was fine in it, but yeah. Now that you mentioned that, yeah, I think Adam Sandler would have fucking killed it, man.
Yeah. Another real, like, what if Will Smith had been Django moment that we didn't know.
Yeah.
So
there's
that for you. Final news story. I don't think I've ever wanted to know a factoid about a vice presidential candidate more than I've ever wanted to know what game was Tim Walz obsessed with on the Dreamcast that his wife had to take it away. So we found out that Democratic vice presidential candidate Tim Walz basically, when an anecdote was told that when he was in his early 30s, or I guess it was in his mid 30s, was so obsessed with the Sega Dreamcast that his wife had to literally hide it from him because all he was doing was playing video games. Now, again, there's a lot of things that astound me about this story. One is that I'm super glad that like someone didn't refer to this as just a Nintendo or a PlayStation, because that's typically what you get from these sort of stories about like pop culture stuff when it comes to mainstream people. But the Sega Dreamcast, like,
I mean, that's some real cred right there, man.
yeah, I mean, like and he was a football guy, so it could have just been like NFL 2K. That's very possible. Could Tim Walz have been like a fucking hardcore MVC2 player, and we just had no fucking clue about it? Like, is that possible? I have to know.
I mean, maybe. I mean, look, anything's possible, right? And the fact that he's a Dreamcast guy and was obsessed with it, but couldn't sneak it because the Dreamcast sounded like a goddamn microwave oven when you turned it on. Is like I can relate, right? Like I too was obsessed with the Dreamcast when it first came out, and look, let's just hope it's not like I see a picture of the Seaman fish in here. Let's just hope it wasn't that, because that'll give those weirdos over there the another talking point. He was into semen. He was into semen. Do you want that for your vice presidential pick? The guy's into semen.
If anyone listening to this has the opportunity to ask Tim Walz any questions during the campaign, I implore you to ask him either A, what Dreamcast games were you obsessed with so much that your wife had to take it away, or just like start singing the Third Strike theme song and see if he like starts like singing it too, like under his breath. Like that's like that's what I want to see. I want to know. I really want to know what Tim Walz played on the Dreamcast.
Yo, that's hilarious.
I'm desperate to know it. I'm so desperate to know it.
What do you think? Do you think he's a Ken main? Right? Like, there's a lot of Ken mains in Third Strike.
I mean, probably. I mean, yeah. Like,
I could see Ken. I can see Tim Walz being a Ken main, right? Ken's very approachable. He's white. He's blonde. Like he's very good in that game. Like he's not like a Chun player or like a Yun player or a Yang player. He's probably a Ken main.
I mean, that's cool though. Like could you imagine
dope,
if we had the first ever elected president / vice president who was like a Street Fighter player? Like, that would be the like not that you aren't voting for them, but like,
I mean,
that would lock it down. You'd be on the Tim Walz train for the next 16 years. Absolutely.
16. Try 32 because he'll run for president. Yeah. I'm down.
Fascinating.
Oh no, it would be 16. Yeah, you're right.
It'd be 16.
What the fuck am I thinking?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, I'm an idiot, guys.
Just ask him if he knows who Long D is. See if he has any feelings about Long D, and just see what happens. Just see what happens. If fucking Look Forward gets to interview Tim Walz, you better believe him.
You better ask him.
100%.
You better ask him, and you better not tell Jake. He'd be like, "What the fuck? Huh? What?"
Jay's probably seen this story. Most likely, he and I are both fully Walz pilled at this point. So
no. You don't tell him what game you're gonna ask him about. Don't even let it be a game. Just be like, "Hey, Tim Walz, are you still upset that you never got to avenge the death of your father in fucking ancient Japan or wherever? Not ancient Japan, but like
not ancient
Japan in the 80s. Like, are you upset about that?" And if he flips out like I know he would flip out, then like, there's your guy.
Oh my god. We're gonna take a quick break, and then we'll be back with some gaming impressions at the post office. So I have two quick impressions. I've not played enough of these to have like full-throated reviews on them. The first one is a game that had been in development for like 10 years and had been in early access for a couple of years that somehow I had never heard of. Came out to a lot of buzz, and it's a game called Nova Drift. And I wasn't too buzzed about Nova Drift because it looked pretty basic. The 10,000 foot view is basically like it's a callback to a couple episodes ago.
I see what you did.
It's basically like a roguelike version of Asteroids, the classic coin op game from back in the day. But and so I wasn't too jazzed, but then like people kept talking about it, and I was like, I'll give it a shot. It's fucking $15. If I don't like it, I'll return it. Like Steam has the generous policy, and so I downloaded it, and holy shit, Nova Drift is it's just great. Again, the premise is pretty simple. You fly your spaceship around the screen. Enemies come in, you try to blast them, you try not to get hit. Pretty straightforward. As you kill enemies, you gain experience. As you gain experience, you level up, and that's where the roguelike element comes into play. You get to pick a weapon, a shield mod, and a body type for your ship that kind of outlines the basics of how your ship performs. And then you start getting power-ups that modify those different aspects of the ship. And it is a broke build game, so you're trying to just make the dumbest build possible that you can to just like fucking annihilate waves and waves of enemies to hopefully last until the end. Which I have done, like the run that the setup that I had on the run that I did finish was like, it was a great combo because like the weapon was like a missile compiler that as you didn't shoot, you would just build a salvo of missiles that would just keep going up until you hit a max number, and then like when you hit fire, like all of them would fucking fire out, and they were heat seeking, so they would like go towards the enemies. And then I also had a body type that would stealth that would cloak me when not shooting for a prolonged period of time. So like I would just not shoot, go hidden, like let all the missiles build up, and then just like annihilate an entire screen of enemies in one shot, and that was pretty fun. So Nova Drift, pretty cool. I'll probably be playing more of that. The second one that I've been meaning to play, I've had this game for years, and I finally got around to having the desire to play it, is Stellaris, the big epic space colonizing 4X management game. And the game was like, everyone's very intimidated by Stellaris when they first hear about it because there's a lot of shit to manage. It's a Paradox Game Studios game, which means that it's real time with pause, so the action happens real time, but you can pause at any time to, stop and slow down and make decisions, but everything's happening with all the other empires simultaneously. And I was like, yeah, this is pretty easy so far. The tutorial kind of explains what everything does, but doesn't really hold your hand. And then I got annihilated and lost within 2 hours because a aggressive neighbor that I did not prepare for declared war on me and took out my home system and laid me to waste. So I learned real quick, like, hey, if you have someone on your border that's feisty, you might want to spend some time building up your military, get some ships that can fight back, augment the starbase this a little bit to pack a little bit of punch. And so I started a new game. I'm doing much better so far. I'm about... so the game lasts for 300 years on default settings. And the years go by quickly. Like basically the way the game ticks by is in days. And when you're in like fastest speed, the days go like tick, 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 tick. Like that's how fast kind of things go on. And I'm about 50 years into my second game, doing a much better job of building a much more stable galaxy. There's just a lot to manage in Stellaris because you can manage pretty much every aspect of your empire, from your military to all the leaders that you have in your council, but also assigned to each of your fleets and on your science ships and stuff like that. And you want to manage your colonies, like what kind of buildings are you building, what kind of districts are you building, diplomacy negotiations with neighbors that you find, how are you exploring the system, all the random events that come up. It's like, if you're someone like me who's a big fucking nerd for this shit, Stellaris is one of the like go-to games for this. It's like a step above where like a Civilization would be. Like that's my best barometer for these type of games. So it's more involved than like a Civ would be, but not nearly as involved as like an EVE Online would be, which is like really in the weeds nerdery stuff that I haven't that I have no desire to really fuck around with. So more to come on Stellaris. I'm enjoying myself so far. It's one of those games though where like I was playing it yesterday and I sat down with it at like 3 o'clock and I was playing it, right? And then I got nudged by my wife and I was like, and she's like, hey, like I'm probably gonna start making dinner soon. Like, what do you want? I'm like, already? You're making dinner? And she's like, yeah, it's 6 o'clock. I'm like, what the fuck? It's like, what the fuck? Like 3 hours just happened. And in the blink of an eye, because you get so fucking hyper fixated on what you're doing, that time just bleeds away. It's a dangerous game. And unlike other games of this ilk, they don't even do you the courtesy of having a real life clock on the screen so you can see just how much time.
They casino you.
It's, they do casino you. Absolutely. So if you're into these type of games, Stellaris is on sale all the time. I would recommend at least checking out the base game. This is also a game that there's like literally 20 expansions out for. So like if you wanted to get like a shitload of expansions, you can. But just the base game has plenty to keep you busy for a pretty good period of time. It's been a lot of fun so far.
I haven't played anything in a very long while. We mentioned marketing and journalism, and it's working on me with Space Marine 2.
Oh yeah,
it's
dude,
working on me.
I'm looking very forward to Space Marine 2. Did you play Space Marine 1?
I did not play Space Marine
Okay.
1. I always wanted to get into Warhammer because it seems like something that is right up my alley, right? Science fiction, military, fake fascism.
Mm-hmm.
That is the Triforce of interest for me.
Dude, I really think that you would like Rogue Trader. If you
I missed the last sale. I'm gonna wait for that to come on sale.
Mm-hmm.
But the next game that I'm probably going to get is Space Marine. I'm super excited. So I say that to say that how about we table this conversation and then circle back around once that game comes out.
Yeah, dude, I'm so 40K pilled right now. Like it's not even funny. Like I'm so fucking deep into the 40K lore. It's like where do I
start? Where do I start?
So
there are like 300 books.
Well, there are, but they're not all worth reading. So where I started, the thing that really got me into it, and I think I've recommended this to you before, the Eisenhorn books are a great onboarding tool because they kind of give you a flavor of a lot of different aspects of the 40K universe, and not just like the fucking Space Marines versus Chaos Marines, which is usually what's on the fucking cover of everything. Like Eisenhorn is about the Inquisition, which is one of the more interesting aspects of the 40K universe. So basically, the Inquisition in 40K is like the fucking SS, and they're only answerable to the fucking Emperor himself. And they can, other than that, they can kind of do whatever the fuck they want because their whole deal is rooting out all the ills of society. And so they have kind of free will to do some things that normal citizens of the Imperium are absolutely not able to do. So the Eisenhorn books are a good starting point. Rogue Trader is a good starting point because as you play Rogue Trader, they have like as you're talking to people, if they use like a 40K term that is like a proper noun for 40K, it's highlighted in the speech that comes up on the screen, and you can like hover over the highlight and find out like what it is they're talking about. So that's a good way to, because they know like a lot of people are gonna be playing it that don't know what all the fucking all the races are and all that shit. So those are two good points of ingress, I would say. And Space Marine will be a good point too. That's obviously more of just the fucking, big guys in blue suits shit.
Yeah.
But I mean, it'll give you a taste of that aspect of it, for sure. Because Space Marines are fucking awesome.
All right, I'm probably gonna try and pick up these books. I'm reading this series from Marco Cluse called the Palladium Wars.
Hmm.
I'm on the second book, and it's interesting, but it's not. It holds my interest, but it's not like thrilling. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's very much character. It's very much a slow burn character study, which is fine because these books aren't like super long. They're only like 250 pages.
Hmm.
So I'm gonna need something after that, and yeah, man, all this Warhammer stuff is working. It's working
It's
on me.
and
I'm
it's amazing
super
because
interested.
the main crux of Warhammer, and I don't know how the fuck we got sidelined on a Warhammer tangent, but I'm all for it. The main crux of the is the tabletop game, and I have no
Yeah.
interest at all in interacting with the tabletop game. Like there's so much other shit, and Warhammer 40K is one of those licenses that like there's a ton of games that are out there for it, and like most of them are kind of good. If you like at least like the gameplay
Yeah.
that it's trying to put forward, like they have Warhammer XCOM, they have Warhammer StarCraft, they have fucking Warhammer Left 4 Dead, and they're all kind of good. Like they're not like super triple A fucking production values, but like the games are pretty good. They're pretty dope, and they all focus on different corners of the Warhammer universe, which is a vast fucking universe. So,
All right.
but yeah,
Well, get ready for
Xenos is the first Eisenhorde book. It's called Xenos. And then
Xenos.
that's really good. And then the second one is my favorite one, of all of those. So,
All right. Well, get ready in a couple of weeks for me to be incredibly obnoxious about Warhammer,
yeah,
folks.
look forward to the new podcast on the network. Two old guys get into 40K in their 40s. Oh my goodness. A great transition to go to the post office where you can ask us questions by joining our Discord at densepixels.com/fans. Just like Mike or Johnny did rather, who says, I know Micah gets jingoistic with the Olympics, as do we all. But after watching that breakdancing fiasco, how bad do you want the Americans to run it back?
It sucks that that the country that kind of invented breaking won't be able to participate in it in their home soil. It, I don't know how you judge it, but like I don't know how you judge gymnastics. Well, I can guess how
Mm.
you do it, but like I can't really guess how you judge breaking. I don't need I don't need them to bring it back. I think it was an unmitigated disaster. The fact that the only thing that came out of that was the Australian woman who got 0 points.
Yes.
That's the only thing anybody knows about breaking in the Olympics. Proves that it was an utter failure. And I appreciate the effort. You want to bring dance into it, and I appreciate that. But maybe not. Maybe not breaking. Maybe not.
Look, I couldn't care less about breakdancing. I am very happy because I recently like kind of got into cricket, and then I was sad to learn that it wasn't going to be at the Olympics this year, but it is coming back in 2028. So I'll be looking forward to watching cricket be played because cricket actually very cool for those that
All right.
have never watched it played. So better you and I know Micah, you're not a huge baseball guy. I think you would like cricket a lot more. There's a lot more action going on in
Yeah,
cricket.
as long as it's not like eight guys standing around waiting for a pitcher to throw a ball.
I mean, it kind of is, but it happens much faster.
Hey, look, as long as there's a pitch clock, you get 10 seconds. Think of what you're gonna do.
It's funny
Right?
because one of your most common turns of phrases that you like to use originated in cricket, and yet I don't know if you've watched a single minute of cricket in your entire life.
I have not. What phrase can you imagine?
No, a sticky wicket. You love
Oh,
calling things a
really?
sticky wicket, and that is
That
a
is a
cricket
cricket
phrase.
term?
That's a cricket term. Yes.
Oh, all right. Well, I have to watch a game then,
Yeah.
so that I know what culture I am appropriating.
C. Kent asks, what game mechanic irritates you more and more as you get older? Un.
Escort,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
escorting.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
I don't like escort missions. If you're not capable, what are you doing in this fucking war zone? I I think it I think escort missions off the top of my head are just annoying, especially when it's like an instant failure state, or so I don't like instant failure states either. If you are if that's why everybody hated those Mary Jane missions in the first
Well,
Spider-Man.
see, you're touching on what my answer is. Forced stealth sections in non-stealth games. That is the mechanic that I hate the
Yeah,
most.
yeah. Like I didn't buy this game to I didn't buy this superhero game to play as a regular person. You know what I mean?
If
Like
basically at this point, if you are not a stealth game, just don't do stealth.
yeah,
That is my
yeah, because you don't do it well.
yeah.
Like
Even
most
even
stealth
like
games
even
don't even
like
do it
Elder
well.
Scrolls and shit like that didn't do stealth great.
Right, you duck down.
Here's an eye
All
on the
right,
screen to show
right,
how visible you are.
right. Like come on, man.
So that was mine. Also, unskippable voiced dialogue is also annoying for me. I found myself caring less and less about story as I've gotten older in games. I just want to play.
It just has that story has to be really
It does.
engaging.
It does.
And most video game stories nowadays aren't that engaging, or if they are engaging, they're too engaging, right? They want to be a movie
Right.
that breaks up, with a couple of arenas that you fight in, right? See most Naughty Dog games. So yeah, you need a proper balance.
Cam asks, the OTC is back on SmackDown. This question is still relevant too, by the way, because he didn't speak last week. Will that first babyface acknowledge me? Hit like Cap finally saying, "Avengers assemble." Yes, they are teasing the Roman Reigns reascendancy very effectively so far.
Yeah, yeah. Now I want them. Yeah, I heard a joke on another podcast that like Kevin Owens is the only person that watches the show, right? That actually like because he remembers
Yes.
things, right? And I want people to actually remember that for the past 3-4 years, Roman Reigns was being a real fucking dick to them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we all can see where this is kind of forming, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy and Jay are gonna make up, and then they're gonna team with Roman, and the Sami Zayn is gonna be there because like Sami Zayn's like the best friend anybody could ever have ever, right? But I don't want them to just be like, it's all good, Oos. No, it's not. It's
But
not all good.
the only reason that I'm worried about that aspect though is that they just did that with Jey Uso. You know what I mean? Like when Jey Uso
Yeah,
turned face, they just did the thing where it's like Jey Uso's back. Like, hey, I'm a good guy now. And they're like, yeah, but you were still an asshole for a really long time, and we're not ready
right,
to welcome you back with open arms quite yet. Except for Sami Zayn, to your credit, like he's the ultimate nice guy. So,
right.
but we'll see. Like I said, they're keeping Roman off the mic very specifically because they do want to milk that moment for all that it's worth. I'm sure when he comes back. Gustavo asked to the guys, and it's just us on the show this week, what is the scariest thing that your children have ever done? For example, I once busted my chin on the bathroom sink when I was 2.
My eldest son, before when he was around what my second son's age is now, so he was around 2. For some reason, he ran at the top of his at his top speed, as fast as his little legs can take him. He ran right into the wall, right there,
Mm-hmm.
and he put a dent in it. And I thought he was dead. And he had a giant, like, it wasn't like a little, no, it was a giant goose egg, like a giant, like comically large goose egg on his head, and we thought he was going like we. This was the first time he had ever done something like that,
Mm-hmm.
and it was scary. And then we were like, oh, let's lay him down, let's lay him down. And then we called the nurse because we didn't know what the fuck to do. And the nurse was like, well, where's he at now? It's like, well, we let him down, we put him down. He's laying down so that maybe he could sleep it off. And she's like, no, don't do that, don't do that.
Yeah, he has a
Like,
concussion. You don't want to
that
fall
is
asleep.
literally
So.
the worst thing you could
Yeah.
possibly do. So then that was another pants shitting moment. Yeah, that was it. That was it. Everything else is just like, my eldest son is a bit of a, you know, he's kind of timid. He's a goofball, right? He's going to be a class clown, and my youngest son is going to be the bruiser. The bruiser weight, right? Like he's gonna fucking fight you. And the scariest thing is just like that he's ever done is that he's like, I'm gonna fucking bite you. Ah, like that's scary to me, right? Like Jay came home and back to America for a couple of days, and we spent time with him and his family. And I'm like, look, watch out! Like Spencer's a biter, and then he saw it, and then and then he immediately started doing everything that I'm doing. Whoa, 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 whoa! Like, don't come at me, mouth first, kid. Like, oh, just chill out.
For me, I know I told you this story before. I don't think I told it on the podcast before. So when my son was born, obviously, like the first night we spent in the hospital, and then the second, we took him home the very next day. Now, for those of you who don't have kids, kids typically, when they're little babies, wake up several times during the night because they eat at weird times and they shit themselves, and you got to take care of that shit. So like when you're a new parent, you expect to wake up a lot, especially for those first several weeks. But my wife and I put him down our first night back home, and then we went to bed, and we both woke up at 7:30 the next morning and looked at each other and asked each other like, hey, did you get up during the middle of the night? No. Did you get up? No. Like, he didn't wake up at all. And we're like, no. And we're like, oh my God. Like we both stand outside the door because he didn't sleep in the room with us. So we both stand outside the door. Like, we're both like fucking terrified to open the door. We finally opened it, prepared for something terrible. And he's just sleeping. Slept through the entire fucking night, his first night home. This kid.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So that did not last, but it was such a weird happening. Because again, like when you go into it, you're not expecting that to be the case. So
Yeah.
yes, so thought my son had SIDS, and then we're
Yeah,
to find
it's
that did not
pretty
happen.
damn scary.
Yeah, very terrifying. Casa asks, thanks to Carrie's recommendation to play Final Fantasy X-2 and its buck-wild monster taming mechanic, what franchise-specific enemy would you make a party member in other games? Are they talking about are we saying Final Fantasy franchise-specific here?
I'm going to presume.
Okay.
And what would I make a party member in other games? So they would be a part of my party, and
Yeah,
I could use
in
them
other
to
games in the
attack?
franchise, I'm assuming.
I hate fighting Marlboros. So if I could have one on my team, and then have that Marlboro use bad breath on enemies, that'd be wonderful. Because bad breath fucking sucks. I hate it.
I feel like Tonberry would be a good choice to just instantly shank people as he slowly creeps up towards them.
Yeah, I feel like I understand the logic. The issue I think is that with the Tonberry, it's like they're very slow. So I don't think you would get your. It would take a while for your turn to come around with the Tonberry, and I feel like if the AI is doing what the AI is supposed to do, they're gonna take out that little green thing with the butcher knife first.
Gustavo has a second question that this was geared towards Carrie, but I'm able to answer it as well. Do you let your cat walk on the kitchen counter? I've been seeing white women cooking videos on YouTube, and their cats walking all over the counter with ingredients on display. Carrie did post, because she was unavailable tonight, to say that no, the cats do not go on the counter. I will second that. My cats are allowed on the dining room table, but definitely not on the counter. Absolutely not, especially if there's food afoot. That's a no-go zone for the cats.
I don't. I get it. I mean, I comprehend why people like animals. I just don't get it.
I was this the question was not directed toward you whatsoever.
No, not at all.
Cam asks, which upcoming wrestling show are you currently more excited for? AEW's All In or WWE's Bash in Berlin? It's always going to be the WWE show, no matter what, for me.
Yeah, I'm looking at the All In card. Look, I'm not a huge fan of AEW's week to week. Their pay-per-views, they usually put on the wrestling boots and get the wrestling.
They fucking better, considering they're charging you $49.99.
Yeah, but I'm only looking forward to one, maybe two matches on the All In card. The one I'm looking forward to is MJF versus Will Ospreay. The other one maybe is Swerve Strickland versus Bryan Danielson. And I can take it or leave. I can take that one or leave it. Every other match, I'm not feeling it.
Is Swerve still the AEW World Champion?
He is.
Good for
He
him.
is not for long. If my prediction comes true, I think Bryan Danielson will win it because Bryan Danielson is going around telling people, "Yeah, I'm definitely going to retire if I don't make it. Definitely going to retire. I'm definitely going to retire." Bryan Danielson is a known liar, right? He's one of those wrestlers that likes to work, right? Tony Khan is the type of money mark that wants to make people happy, and you know what would make people happy? Having who is the person who is arguably the best wrestler in professional wrestling today at your biggest show in front of one of your largest crowds win the fucking title. So yeah, Bryan Danielson is probably going to win, and Swerve Strickland. I think the experiment is not. I don't think the experiment has borne fruit. You didn't even remember that he was their champion.
Yeah, I mean, not that I'm watching every week, obviously, but
yeah, but still,
what's funny? The match for All In, and again, I don't watch AEW week to week, but the match that I'm most cognizant of that's happening is Tony Storm versus Mariah May. That's the only one that I know for sure is on the card.
Yeah, and I'm only interested in that for the most disgusting of reasons. I don't really give a damn. Hey, throw in that Asian girl too. Who cares? Throw in that Asian girl and film it, and let's pretend that we're back in the '90s. For all I care, that's what you could do for that match. But yeah, Jack Perry versus Darby Allin. Jack Perry sucks, and I haven't bought into what people see in Darby Allin. I think you just got to be.
He is not marketed towards you.
I was about to say. I think you got to be
sure.
I think you got to be young and white. Young white dude. I think is what that.
Oh, by the way, speaking of pro wrestling, I heard an anecdote, and this came from Vince Russo. So, it was detrimental about him. But it turns out that some of the hate that Reign of Terror Triple H gets, we might actually secretly have to thank him, because apparently Vince Russo was trying very hard to get back in WWE in the early aughts after WCW folded, and apparently it was Triple H that was the one that was pretty much blocking him from getting back in to WWE.
Of course, because that guy has an eye for business and knows this fucking business. Quite frankly, look, I am shocked. I am legitimately shocked that Tony Khan hasn't reached out to Vince Russo. You know how fucking bad at your job you got to be if Tony Khan has not reached out to you to help his wrestling organization. Jesus Christ, man.
Oh my god. It's very true. It's very true.
Yeah.
Finally, T-Wash asks, what type of game do you wish a developer would make more of? For example, I wish Kojima had made more point-and-click mystery games like Police Knots and Snatcher.
Wow. Type of game to make more of. I do enjoy a point-and-click adventure, but I enjoy it if it is because they're very story-based.
Mm-hmm.
But believe it or not, I wasn't into much of the point and click adventures for existing IP, and I know that's how you get people to play those games. But I enjoy like more interesting story, not more interesting. Like I enjoy different types of stories, right? Like those Batman games were good, but like it's a Batman story. I've read a ton of Batman stories, I've read a ton that were better than what was in that game. What other games? But I don't know. I don't know, to be perfectly honest with you, because every other type of game, I know what I like, and I'm not missing any other type of game that I'm a simple man.
I mean,
Right?
it would be nice to see Inafune get to do, like, one last proper Mega Man game, not just have his name attached to Mighty Number 9 and then detach it as fast as possible when that game fucking sucks. Like, that would be cool. But it's hard, man, because, like, the true greats in the industry, usually the next thing that they move on to is pretty cool, too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So there's
usually a reason why people stop making that particular game. You know what I mean? Like I remember there was a question about. I brought up that I played that AEW wrestling game because it finally came to PS Plus, and I remember someone saying like, "Hey, you ever think they'll make another game using that Aki engine?" There's a reason why they haven't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it just it was good back then, but like
Well, that's the problem with
antiquated
nostalgia
now.
is that you're seeing it through the lenses that you saw it, that you remember it when you were there and are not, equating it necessarily. I mean, for me, I've always stood proudly on the fucking hill that, like, actually, guys, GoldenEye sucks, and, like, you only think it was good because you were 12 years old when you played it with your friends. And it was ahead of its time at the time. I was like, but first-person shooters have come a really long way since then. And if you play GoldenEye now, like, it's terrible.
Playing a twin-stick shooter with one stick, like, like just listen to what that sounds like.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, not everything is timeless and stands up. Like is Super Mario Brothers 1 like timeless? Yes, of course, because that game is designed like immaculately. So like obviously that's still going to be pretty good. Go back and play like a wrestling. I mean, I don't know why I'm thinking wrestling games now, but go back and play like a wrestling game from the Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis era.
Yeah.
And watch how simplistic and silly those games are. But again, like when you were 10, it was cool because you didn't know that there ever could be anything better than that. It was the best you had at the time, but things have come a long way. Since then, and only the best design games can withstand the march of time. That is the problem with adding more complexity with games, is that the more things you add to a game, the more likely it is for a lot of those mechanics to become very dated as they're improved upon as time goes along. So that was a great show, I think. Thank you guys for submitting your questions by going to densepixels.com/fans. If you're listening to this podcast on a podcast service, we do also publish this on YouTube every week. youtube.com/densepixels is where you go to subscribe. And if you're watching on YouTube, check out this show on podcast services as well as all the other TNP Studio shows. And of course, do not forget to sign up for TNP Premium at densepixels.com/premium It only costs you $5 a month. Very important in these turbulent times as we approach the U.S. presidential election to get the full episode of Look Forward, where B&J absolutely have no chill once we get behind the paywall on a weekly basis. That is it. I look forward to all of the fun Gamescom news that I'm sure we will be talking about next week. But until next time, thank you very much for watching and listening.
See ya.
You're watching the Dense Pixels YouTube channel. Click the subscribe button while you're here and make sure you check out our weekly podcast where we discuss the latest gaming news and our impressions on what games we've been playing.